On Topper Talk today, I have the pleasure of inviting and welcoming Vedanti Barik, who was All India ranked number 5 in 2022. Vedanti, thank you very much. Welcome once again
Thank you.
to your old platform, SWS. Vedanti was
It's
part
my
of
privilege,
several
sir.
of our courses last year, so extremely familiar with her. And we will talk about all that as this chat goes by. In fact, just a while ago, and about an hour ago before I recorded this, I invited Vedanti to one of our live sessions with our students, and they were all very delighted. I must tell you, Vedanti, they were actually taunting the others who had missed out on the session, that you missed out something. Extremely delighted. And when I told them, I mean, since they knew that I'm going to do this interview later, they have been sending me more questions. So I will include all that. But talking specifically about the fact that there is just less than a week to go for the examination, how do you really deal with the anxiety and the panic attack and the stress, given the fact that it's the first public examination for a class 10 student?
Yeah, absolutely. In this case, controlling your keeping a track of your mental health, whether you are able to control your mind or not, that is very important. So yeah, there will be immense pressure given that it's the first all India based pan India exam that we are going to sit for. But yeah, the main thing that we can do is just doing some positive self-talk that okay, this is the first thing that I'm going to step on into the competitive world and all. So controlling the mind is very important. Just positive self-talk that yes, everything will be okay. It's
I
not too
always,
much stress given that
yeah, I always used to
everything.
say that, if you do well in your class 10, and even if you don't do exceedingly well, if you go through that grind and put in the hours and do hard work, you can always get inspired by what you did in class 10 later on in your journey in class 11,
Absolutely.
12, and later on in life. How
Yeah,
has
yeah.
life changed for you given your splendid score in 10th class? How much of that does, I mean, how much of it does inspire you right now in your class 11?
Yeah, it has like affected a lot after the 10th result. My life has changed, not really changed by a great deal, but yeah, a great quite change has come about.
Explain,
So
explain.
it's all about whenever the 10th result had come out, a lot of appreciation, a lot of like people were really wishing very good for the future about it. And apart from all these, the appreciation that I got from my relatives and friends and teachers, a kind of self confidence had been instilled in me. Like, this
Absolutely.
is the first thing that I did, and perhaps in going ahead also, I'll be able to do something.
Yeah, so
Like,
you actually,
it
you
has
don't
been
need an external motivation factor anymore.
exactly,
You get
exactly.
motivated by what you yourself have achieved, and since you know what
Yeah,
you did to crack that, that's
yeah.
splendid. So
Self confidence is what had come about. It
absolutely.
is very good.
Now, talking specifically about the class 10, if we talk about the physics, chemistry, biology, mathematics, kind of the science subjects and mathematics, is it good enough to go just by the textbooks, or in the last weeks the trick is to kind of solve a large number of sample papers so that you are mentally tuned to answering those questions in an examination atmosphere?
Yeah, going through the textbook is something that is required to be done all throughout the preparatory phase.
Hmm.
But during the last days, the emphasis should shift to, practicing a number of sample papers, that because that would give you an idea of how much you're prepared, what kind of answers you are writing when it comes to literature, what kind of essays you're writing, whether you're including the main points or not, and physics, chemistry, bio, are you able to mention the key points or not in your answers?
Yep.
So that way, practicing these sample papers will help you self assess that on which stage you are
True.
when it
So
comes to when it
let's
comes
get
to
into more specifics. Numericals in physics, which is a big stress point for most.
yeah
How do
yeah
you, I mean, what are the simple things that you would tell these class 10 juniors of yours, what they should and what they should not do?
like when it comes to physics, practicing numericals is again something that we need to do all throughout,
Hmm.
but during the last phase, keeping a note of the mistakes that we have done all throughout,
Hmm.
that is what is required to be rectified now because there's not much time left.
Hmm.
So that way, mistakes, one thing is that mistakes need to be rectified now. And once again, sometimes while practicing numericals, we forget that there is also a theoretical part of physics. So
Yeah.
that thing is to be kept in mind, that the theory questions related to the laws, some
Yeah.
Faraday's laws and all,
Hmm.
they don't get missed. That is very important. And numerical practice is obviously very much important.
Right.
It's indispensable.
Practicing diagrams in biology.
Once again, that is very important. Whether the like when it comes to biology diagrams, the examiner, as far as what my experience is, that examiner doesn't look into whether the diagram is good or not, but whether the labelings are correct or not.
The
We
accuracy.
sometimes tend to forget the main things
Yeah.
while labeling.
Yeah.
But yeah, that is something we need to keep in mind.
One of
Labelings are correct or not.
One of my students, Mahesh Pandey, has sent me this question to ask you, that he's quite fed up with all the details in geography and history. The number of history dates that one has to memorize and the detailing in geography, temperature, rainfall. So he wants me to ask you, how do you kind of deal with so much of, retention in the brain?
Yeah, that was a problem that I used to also face. That is very common, especially in geography, industries, and minerals. I used to hate them like anything. But yeah, reading them again and again, writing the things down which we are forgetting. Once we write and read it aloud, it gets stuck in our mind. So that is one thing I did. And with respect to history also, I would say, in history specifically, there are some questions that are typical to an ICSE class 10 history paper, like they are bound to come. So we need to keep a track of whether those answers are going wrong or not. If they are going wrong, then we need to practice it more. And once again, all throughout my preparation, I had underlined and highlighted some points which are very much important. Obviously, not every line is actually important. There are some things that are really need to be kept in mind. So those things before, those underlined parts were of great rescue before the exam.
In fact, to students listening to this, I would say, as far as geography is concerned, making codes is always work. You make your own codes with words which kind of, have a better recall value as far as you are concerned. It kind of helps you in, being able to recall that in the examination hall. English
like mnemonics and all also help.
Absolutely. English language, I can tell you about Vedanti, that Vedanti was one of the few students who had practiced and prepared a large number of essay topics, letter topics. She was a very prolific writer, very regular with her assignments. And that, I think, played a major role in her doing so well in the board examinations. Is that what you would say? Writing more and more so that you don't have a writer's block on the day of the exam?
Absolutely. For language, the only thing is write, and most importantly, read and write, that should go on. So nothing else. I think before the exam, only writing a bit more essays, a few more essays, a few more letters, keeping a track of some important topics that have a high probability of coming in the exam. So all these were there.
And as far as you were concerned, I think you prepared for the argumentative essay and you had prepared a large number of topics which could possibly come in the examination. Lucky that many of the topics that we had discussed actually came in the exam.
Yeah, absolutely. The topic that we had discussed the day before, I had prepared the day before, that only came. So that was a great matter of joy.
So if you prepare like that, there essentially has to be a sense of systematic and smart hard work and a very clinical way of approaching, then I'm sure success will definitely, get you. You will get success, right? Is that the way you look at it?
Absolutely.
So, how does the journey ahead look for you now? Class 11, preparing for NEET. Next year is going to be hectic.
It's really hectic. It has been hectic, and I know it will be more hectic in the future. But yeah, as I said, that self-confidence is there, that I have done something, perhaps I'll be able to make up this time too. So that is needed to be kept in mind. But yeah, ICSE 10th was much easier. That time it seemed to be a great deal. But now the horizon is much broader.
The mistake many students, Vedanti, make is to not kind of be serious during class 11, as a result of which the backlog is too much when they are in class 12. So if you handle class 11 pretty well, you will find the going much easier in class 12. At least you won't have that kind of, panic attacks. All the best to you. Thank you very much for your time. I wish you well.
Thank you.
We shall remain in touch. Thank you very much.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thanks.